The following is a presentation of Habersham News.
Hi, my name is Doug Faust. I'm running for mayor of Baldwin. I've been in Georgia for 30 years and I'm interested in continuing my public service. I retired from public service last year, and so I'm interested in getting back into the saddle and helping things out. My friends have urged me to take this on. It is a very difficult task. Baldwin needs assistance. They need to sort out their finances. Finally, things have gotten more organized from a finance standpoint, but there's still an imbalance between the needs of the community and the situation as it relates to where they are with income. It's really important that they get that resolved. And those are skills that I have from my background. I've handled personnel issues, I've handled managing large organizations, I've managed boards, and I understand the finances necessary, including the public finances, that would be required to begin to resolve Baldwin's issues. And also I would like to say that I have a lot of experience in planning. And what I mean by planning is planning and forecasting the future and determining ways with which you can then create long-range plans that actually can be followed not while you're just there, but while the future is coming. Because this is an issue that's developed over many, many years, and it's going to take many, many years to get these things resolved. I think the most important issue in Baldwin at this point is resolving the issues of the water infrastructure, the sewer infrastructure, and managing growth. And so it's kind of a multi-layered issue that is actually somewhat related. The water creates revenue. That revenue then helps to pay for the system, which then delivers the water to the citizens and to the customers. That revenue is something that we need in order to have the tools necessary to create the financing that's going to help us with the repairs. It's also going to help us with growth. At this point, we have enough citizens that we need the water. Banks County needs water. And we need to make sure we are in a position that we can manage water for the citizens of Baldwin first, and then use what is available for others as a revenue stream. And we also need to be responsible stewards of the water. We have an awful lot of water that is leaking at this point. About 1 million gallons a day, which is the equivalent of an Olympic-sized swimming pool. And it's necessary that we resolve that to be responsible stewards and use the income that can be generated from the sale of that water. Our sewer infrastructure needs to be resolved so that we're safely managing the waste. And we have to then look at the growth, because we need some level of growth in order to create the resources and taxes from other persons besides just the citizens to help us to pay for these requirements. I've been a steward of public funds for most of my career. I've worked in various different governmental entities, and I also was a consultant. But through those different times, we had to track the resources we were using. We had to account for the funds. I previously was the CEO of the Decatur Housing Authority. Our audits for the last 12 years had no findings. That means you have to be careful with how you're spending the money, and not just careful, but document it. And we also then have to produce reports that relate to the performance of each of the different sectors of our government and see how they're doing. We do some level of reporting now to the City Council, but I'd like to see that be more regular. I think we need to talk about infrastructure every month. I think it needs to be on the agenda. We need to have a report. What are we doing? What's next? Baldwin's had a lot of problems with its financial audits. They've just gotten cleaned up. And as a result, they had missed many years of grants and other opportunities to get money that would have made possible some of these repairs. You know, Baldwin is a nice small town. But growth is coming up the corridors, whether we like it or not. It's not going to go away. And so what we need to do is look at each request that comes in and make a determination if it fits into our plans. We also need to be more thoughtful in our actual approach to trying to encourage the right kinds of business. And one thing that's been discussed is the possible sale of City Hall. Now, selling City Hall is one thing, but you could also put it together in a much more thoughtful package, a request for proposals. We'd like to see this here, and farm it out to developers and see if someone has interest, so that what we can do is then create the kinds of businesses and spaces and places that serve the citizens most effectively without just allowing things to come. It's just because you own the land, if it's adjacent to other things, it impacts them. And we need to make sure that we're overseeing that. I've done a lot of redevelopment and development activities in my career, and I'd like to bring that expertise to Baldwin. The top priority is going to be the water first, because we're losing that resource, and we need to convert that resource, as I said earlier, into financial opportunities for us. I would like to examine each city department and see what opportunities for improvement there are. There's always ways to increase efficiency. I've been told by the city manager, chief administrative official, that the staff is great, and I believe that. But it also means we can look at things and determine if there's a more efficient way to come at it. I know that there's a fair amount of equipment that's needed for the sewers and to deal with that in a positive way, so that what we're doing is reducing our costs. And then I think from an efficiency standpoint, communication is the other thing that's missing. I think city staff work really hard, but it's not clear what they're achieving. And I think there has to be more of a connection between what they're doing and what's getting resolved for citizens, because there's a lot of frustration between the government and the city right now, the government and the residents, excuse me. That's troubling, because you have staff that works really hard, but then there's a belief that, oh, well, maybe they don't really need that, or this is that, or this is that. And so there has to be a greater level of explanation, and that's where I think some of the reporting that comes to the city council can also help that, is that each month we provide greater information to the citizens about what's been achieved. I really would like to ask folks to vote for me. I think I represent a new opportunity for this city. Yes, I've only been here 2 years, so I'm not going to hide from that, but I've been in Georgia 30, and I've worked with cities and governments here in Georgia, small towns, large towns, and I've also worked in cities around the country. That experience puts me in a different position than my opponent. My opponent's been on council for 8 years. I appreciate that she says she has a plan now, but 8 years is a long time. And what I propose to do is come in, work with the citizens, work with the council, work with our local governments, and also work with our state, federal governments to determine ways that we can get funding to resolve the issues in Baldwin. I want to hear from citizens. I propose that we have a series of town halls where we're gathering information and learning what people need, what they want, and determining how do we proceed in an effective and positive way going forward. You can't just sit behind a microphone in a city council meeting. You have to get engaged with the citizens. That engagement can come in public meetings where folks can walk around, look at exhibits, look at tables, look at maps, understand how things come together, show proposals, have people speak, provide information in a positive way, and then make sure you're following up on those meetings with information that goes out to the community in a positive way and gets feedback and then gets incorporated into the next series of meetings.